Hey everyone, Matt here. It is Wednesday. That is the main event time where we go over our main topics for the week. So if you're watching or listening, this is the meat and potatoes of the episode. If we happen to have any news to discuss as well, that's where we'll talk about it here. For the full episode, check us out on Saturdays. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt Clausen from the Matt Clausen YouTube channel, joined this week by my co-host RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you this evening?
I'm well, and I actually recorded a video for Do You Take Cards that will be out tomorrow morning, which is very exciting for me. It's been a little while. It took me a couple of months to twist Tariq's arm to make his channel so I could start recording on mine.
Our long national nightmare is over, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Uh, Speaking of Tariq from Reeks Rewards, how are you this evening?
I'm good. Aside from the sports fan in me, this weekend absolutely sucked. But I don't have to worry about that now because it's Monday and it's recording day. So I have upside now.
Yes, and you're not a Mets fan, so you don't have to live that life. And finally, we have our special guest for this week. It is Key from KeyKEY's Rewards. Key, how are you today?
Good, good. Thank you for having me and looking forward to the conversation.
Me as well. And Lonnie is on assignment this week, so we have Key filling in, and we're looking forward to her insights this week as well. We're going to move over to our news roundup and topics of the week. News roundup, we have two quick pieces of news. On the I believe it was on the 25th, so between the last episode and this episode, Amex quietly removed the Cash Magnet card, the Everyday card, and the Everyday Preferred card from their websites. These are the Cash Magnet is the 1.5% cashback card that has no annual fee. This is American Express membership rewards cash, which can be best be used for statement credits. There's a couple other ways that you can use it, but it's not cash that goes back into your account. The Everyday and the Everyday Preferred were membership reward earning cards. We don't know exactly what's going on with those cards. They have been removed from the site, and American Express is being built level quiet about what their plans are right now. RJ, any quick thoughts on these three cards being pulled from circulation at the moment?
So it really leaves Amex with like five cards that aren't co-branded on the personal side. You've got the platinum, the gold, the green, and then you've got the two cashback cards. The Blue Cash Everyday and the Blue Cash Preferred. So it feels like there is something coming. I don't think Amex is going to pull those three cards and not replace them with anything. And I think if they were just going to update these three cards, they wouldn't completely pull them. I don't love that they did not say anything or they didn't put out, even if they said, hey, we're removing these cards, update to come November 1st or whatever. I do think communication would be good because I don't hold any of these cards, but if you held these cards, like that would make me somewhat nervous. I don't love the lack of communication. I harp on it with other issuers. I have to harp on it with Amex too. Um, I'm a fan of Amex, but I'm not blindly a fan of Amex. I save that for Apple. So for me, I don't love the lack of communication. I do kind of like the slimming of their non-co-branded cards into a much easier system, but I do think they need an MR card that's not based on the green. Um, they need something under the green, regardless of what it is. And the debit card technically earns you one MR point for every $2 you spend. So technically you do have a $0 MR point card. It's not the best bang for your buck. I have Amex as my bank for other reasons, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think they're gonna replace them. I don't love the lack of communication, but I kind of dig that it's a lot easier to explain the Amex ecosystem right now.
That's fair. Key, any thoughts on these cards currently being pulled?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have competition and maybe they're revamping, but not really much for us to talk about until we see what's next. I've never held any of these three cards ever, so excited to see what's next.
I would like to see the Cash Magnet and the Everyday cards as 2% and 2x respective cards. That would at least be useful, even if the everyday was capped. I know there was a Ben Hedges video earlier today about it being capped at like 25,000. Even if it kept the Blue Business Plus cap of like 50,000 per year, that would be solid, just because it would give people a personal answer to the Blue Business Plus, because a ton of people use the Blue Business Plus as sort of a personal catch-all for American Express. So the everyday preferred, I have no idea what to expect there, but we'll see what happens. Tariq, any thoughts there?
So I definitely want to state with the lack of communication on American Express's part for just randomly pulling them out. Just no, the only reason why we even knew about it, I think we were in our Stack Your Points Discord, and Matt just messaged at like it was 7 o'clock in the morning Central Time for me. It was like, hey, do y'all notice that the cash magnet everyday preferred cards are gone? I go and check and I'm like, yeah, they're gone. I even went as far as to look at the links through Google and they even just got error messages. So yeah, sure, they have probably something planned. I mean, they said they're going to revamp, what was it, like 40 of their cards? So it means pretty much every one of their cards is going to get some level of revamp. So I'm not surprised that it happened, but the lack of communication definitely is slightly alarming, especially with we saw how Bill didn't like they just kind of snuck the devaluation of their rent day bonus. Just it was just there. Um, I think it would be cool for the cash magnet to be the personal version of the Blue Business Cash, and then the everyday be the personal version of the Blue Business Plus. With the everyday preferred, I don't know, because it just seems like that card is just there. Like it's just kind of like a lower annual fee version of like the green and the gold. It's like this weird kind of low annual fee hybrid of it. So it's almost like the Amex card for those that want to like earn elevated rewards for like MR points without going too deep in annual fees. But even then, I'd probably just say go get the green. So if that card were to just leave and never come back, I don't think many people would be too upset, with the exception of the people who actually like legitimately use the card and do the 30 swipes to earn it. Because, for those people, they're probably getting a good amount of value, probably more than like the gold. But for the average, I would even say the average Amex user, they're probably not really don't care about the everyday preferred. So that they just see that card as just like another thing for Amex to say, yeah, we have this wide option of non-co-branded cards that you can select.
They need to have a personal card with gas. Like that is that is a necessity for them. I don't care if it's cashback or MR points is what they need. They need an MR earning point gas card. That's not the business gold.
Yep. And currently they don't have one. And our next bit of news, we have a Chase transfer bonus that's being under talked about. Key, what's going on with Chase and Marriott?
Yeah, so not often talked about. I feel like when people talk about Chase, they immediately talk about Hyatt or they immediately talk about the reserve card. Chase actually has an ongoing transfer bonus with Marriott. You'll get a 50% points boost when you transfer any of your Chase points over to Marriott. Why this is super important to me is because I have a lot of the Ritz cards and other cards that offer annual night certificates. One of the benefits to that is being able to top up certificates 15,000 points. So for this, I get a significant discount on being able to do so. So don't know why people aren't talking about it. It blows my mind. But anyone else going to take advantage of this transfer bonus, or is that just me?
I literally did before we started filming this podcast. So, yay.
Thank you for now. for not making me feel crazy. I appreciate you.
No, it's good. I mean, the only thing I have to use Chase points with is Marriott anyway, so it works out for me.
Mm.
I I am the schlub who I am staying in a Marriott tonight. I will use Marriott when I'm looking for something just quick and easy to book. I don't leverage points at Marriott for the moment, and I don't have any Marriott cards. I don't have a ton of Marriott points, so like I would have to dip in. It would make sense to dip into my Chase points, but I just haven't. Like I have around 30,000 Marriott points just sitting on my Marriott account from paid stays and Marriott Eat Around Town when I was trying to make that like a thing I was doing. I'm probably going to switch actually over to another dining program on my Sapphire Reserve, but um, if Marriott, so the other thing is Marriott's not my primary hotel. If Marriott was my primary hotel, this would make a whole lot more sense to utilize this transfer bonus. Um, but they're like my it feels like, yeah, I'm known for being the free agent on the podcast. I don't have a set hotel. So um yeah, for me it just becomes a thing of like, oh, Marriott, I don't want to deal with the points. I don't want to figure out, is this a good booking? Is this a bad booking? That's a lot of points for one night. I'm just gonna pay cash. And I can go through Top Cash Back and get an extra 6% cash back. Or if I need to use Rakuten and I get like a 4.5% or 4.5 times MR points, stack with it. Like Marriott to me is the one that I stack to either get some cash back or get some extra MR points. And I'll utilize either AAA or I'll sign up for an AARP membership to get further discounts.
Okay. All right. That's one way to do it. For me, if I have points, I'm going to use it most likely before I use cash. And it sounds like you're the opposite of that, which is cool. I like hearing different perspectives.
Okay,
Yep.
so yeah, I travel on easy mode with Chase points. My points for the most part now are Hyatt points. I did notice it because I did actually transfer Chase points to Hyatt, and once I was on the screen before I selected Hyatt, I was like, "Oh, cool, 50% bonus for Marriott." I didn't really say anything about it because I guess I figured it was like already said because I was like busy at work and I wasn't really keeping track of like Discord. But yeah, like I was originally going to make Marriott kind of like my primary ecosystem because I grew up staying at a lot of Marriott's, a lot of Fairfields, Residence Inns, Town Place, Spring Hill, you name it. But once I kind of dabbled in the points ecosystem, I yeah, just didn't feel I personally felt like my chase points wouldn't go as far with Marriott versus Hyatt. And yes, I know it's heavily dependent on the award chart, but hey, I'm not gonna deny being on easy mode. I've been able to travel at multiple Hyatt hotels because of it, plus a bunch of sign up bonuses. So I probably like I won't utilize it, but for you, RJ, and anybody else that transfers their UR points to Marriott, do it. Strike while the iron's hot. It's going to be a great way to redeem it because you never know when the next transfer bonus is going to be for Marriott because I don't know how often they come around. I think it was 30% maybe what a couple months ago, if I'm not mistaken, but 50% is pretty solid.
So those are our news roundups, and we're going to jump into our topics. Our first topic will be RJ. What is your topic for this week?
I wanted to do something fun. I thought, let's put maybe the philosophical stuff or the difficult stuff or the travel stuff aside for the moment. What is your favorite credit card? Not what is the best credit card on the market, not what is the most useful necessarily, but what is just your favorite credit card? It doesn't have to be something that you could necessarily sign up for right now, but it has to be something that you have somebody has a path to get. So like the Ritz card, there is a path to get a Ritz card, but there's no direct application. So if you have something like that, you can go for it, but the Amex Zinc card or whatever the hell it was called, no, because you can't get that anymore. I will go first. I will always have a soft spot for the Apple card. I know it's not my best card, it's not my most used card, it's not the card that I talk about the most, but I buy a ton of Apple stuff and I get to pay no interest on the Apple stuff I buy, and it probably is my favorite cashback base card. If I'm going with purely MR points, it's the Amex Green card. I love that card. I don't think people talk about it enough. I think people look at the fact that it doesn't have a ton of like fringe benefits and somehow think that's bad, but that's exactly what the card should have. The card should not, like, you complain about all of the other cards having all of these like monthly credits that you don't want to use, but you have a card that doesn't have any of that nonsense and you don't like that either. I think some people just like to complain. But yeah, I think the Amex Green, if we're going with a points card, Amex Green, if we're going cashback, Apple card. Key, what's your favorite card?
Great question. I won't say the Ritz. It's really striking me to say those words out come out of my mouth. I'm actually going to go with the PenFed Pathfinder Rewards credit card. I have a personal line of credit. I have a checking account with PenFed, and I have a couple of these PenFed Pathfinder cards. If you have a relationship with PenFed, $0 annual fee. You get a $100 every calendar year airline incidental credit, along with the pre-TSA global entry type of things every 4 or 5 years asterisk. Um, it's hard to beat that card, to be honest with you. So love it. Hopefully, I'll get some more of them in the future, and I'll collect them like Skittles here. But,
I like that answer because it's not something everybody's going to pick out. So I appreciate that one. Tariq, what is your favorite card? And if you say the Hyatt card, I'm going to have to smack you.
If you're talking about my Hyatt business card, no, we already talked about that card as a smash and grab. Um, really, I'll go with two. I'll do a points one and I'll do a cashback. I'll start with my cashback one. And cashback, my favorite cashback would be the American Express Blue Cash Everyday card. It was especially post revamp. I had it when it was the translucent card with the blue square when it was like 3x on grocery, 3% on grocery, 2% on like gas. But I really, really love that card since they revamped it. Um, with I, be able to put groceries on it. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's reward dollars, and for the most part, it's statement credit. But for the most part, now just use it. I get the Disney bundle credit, which I did the math. It's cheaper for me to get the Disney bundle than it was for me just to pay for ESPN Plus because I don't really watch Hulu or Disney Plus. But just to get ESPN Plus and watch all of my college sports that I want for cheaper than just paying for ESPN Plus is a perk right there. Plus, when I was using the card at Walmart, through Walmart Pay and even Sam's Club, I can get 3% coded that way. And then if I wanted to go to a neighborhood market, Amex codes Walmart neighborhood markets as grocery. So it's like a really versatile cashback card. And I know I've been on record on this podcast saying that Chase just needs to take that card. Is literally just copy it. Just copy all the multipliers. And since if it's a Chase cashback card, it would earn some reward points. That would be the best earning Chase card that would ever have. And I would even go as far as to say putting an annual fee on that card, and I'd be okay paying it because I'd earn so many UR points. For points, I'm gonna go with the IHG Premier cards, both the personal and the business, because it's basically the same card, for the value that it gets with just holding the card. You pay $99 annual fee, and you're gonna get IHG Platinum, which second highest tier status tier for IHG. There is a spend towards Diamond, but I mean, if it's your only card with the multipliers, might be possible, might be feasible. because you're going to get the 5X at dining, gas stations, which is one of the few Chase cards that has like an elevated gas station category. And then, you get 3X on everything else. Yes, Hyatt points are valued at half a cent per point. But if you're gonna, one of the benefits with the Hyatt, the IHG Premier card, I keep saying Hyatt, IHG Premier cards is the fact that you get the fourth night free benefit. I know with like Marriott and Hilton, it's like a fifth night free benefit. So you're able to stay. I know personally, I can stay for 4 nights someplace easier than I can stay 5 nights at someplace. So I think it's a bit easier use. And IHG is, in my eyes, one of the, it's a very versatile hotel brand because you're going to have, I'll say baseline being Holiday Inn Express, which if you stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, you kind of know what you're expecting. Plus, the breakfast on there, continental breakfast, is good. Say what you want. Those pancakes are amazing, and don't even get me started on those cinnamon rolls. If you know, you know. So, yeah, I would have to say that the IHG Premier, whatever flavor, is great. And I didn't even mention the annual certificate that you get. So there's a lot of value packed in. And oh, and then another thing, you get the $25 United Travel Bank credit, which I'm still trying to figure out how to use it, but I'll use it eventually. So for a $99 annual fee card, you get a lot of value on that. And I love it. And that's why I hold the business. And I'll eventually come around to owning the personal one as well, because as a backup-ish, like it's kind of like a plan A and a half, I guess would be the best way to say it. I know it's kind of dumb, but I've realized like how often I'm going to be like staying at IHGs now, just because they're just nice. And it's nice to just be able to stay at a Holiday Inn Express that's like close to where you want to be and it's comfortable. So a lot of value on that card.
Huh, amazing. A hotel with a bigger footprint can be useful. Who would have thought? Hey, Matt, what's your favorite credit card?
Inquiry.
Yes, sir.
Do I have to hold the card?
No.
Cool. So that makes my answers a little bit easier. There, I think my all-time favorite card right now is the U.S. Bank Altitude Reserve. I think that is a hugely easy card to use. The $400 annual fee sounds scary, but you get 325 back in dining and travel credits, where all you have to do is present the card, and you'll get that 325 back real quick. All you have to do is eat out. The Apple Pay aspect of things with 3 times points on mobile wallet or on mobile wallet is fantastic. Real-time rewards, that system sounds really nice and simple and easy, so that if you, no matter how you book travel, you'll be able to make a redemption really easily. This is a card that I say everyone should be copying. US Bank makes great cards that people should copy. More banks should look at the Altitude Go. More banks should look at the Altitude Reserve. More banks should do the Cash Plus card. Another card that I'm really fond of is the Fidelity 2% card, mostly because it's 2% with no foreign transaction fees. So you can have that card on you as a backup. You're in a catch-all. You know that it's going to get taken everywhere as a Visa, and you can get that cash back with no foreign transaction fee. So if you're traveling Europe, if you're traveling Asia, wherever you're traveling internationally, you're good. And 2% catch-all that you can put into either stocks or money market account with Fidelity. Nice and easy cashback cards. So those are two of my favorite cards that I don't currently hold, that may not be the best, may not be the most useful, but are definitely two of my favorites.
Great. Now answer the question with a card you hold.
Darn you.
You had to
No.
know that was coming.
Yeah, probably. No, honestly, probably my just plain vanilla Wells Fargo autograph card. 3 times points in a whole bunch of categories. They have Chase's travel in transit category. They split them, but they cover pretty much everything Chase covers. 3 times points, 3 times points on dining, 3 times points on streaming. No annual fee. The ability to transfer out points to travel partners now. The autograph is one of the most looked over cards, in my opinion, just because people don't like Wells Fargo for reasons. But as they add transfer partners, they just added Virgin. They're hopefully going to add more before the end of the year. You don't need to go out and get the autograph journey if you hold the autograph card. And given how strong Journey was in its earning categories, I am patiently excited about what Autograph Beyond will look like.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your answers.
2 things before we move on. One, I'm surprised that RJ, you didn't say the altitude reserve over your favorite, just because of how much I know that fits in your lifestyle and how much you talked about it. But obviously, I know you have your affinity, your soft spot for the Apple Card, and also regarding the Wells Fargo autograph. Yes, that is the better version of the Sapphire Preferred, especially because it does everything the Sapphire Preferred does with no annual fee. And yeah, the
No
only
groceries, weaker insurance, but yeah.
well, I mean, online groceries, meh. Like, I genuinely, like, realistically, who really uses online groceries that much, unless you're trying to like finesse or finagle your way to doing it, with the exception of Key. But I just don't have the card just for, transfer partner's sake. Like, maybe I'll be like RJ and dabble in the choice and then, go Wells Fargo crazy, but we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of like an IHT, so who knows?
So I think the altitude reserve is going to fit well in my life. I've researched the hell out of it, and I think I've watched every video Josh has done on it. Like, I fully believe that card is going to slot in my life, but until that card is in my wallet and I actually go through the process of using said card, I can't honestly say it's my favorite because I haven't used it. I thought the Venture X was going to be great, and for a while it wasn't, and for now it might be. So I need to have the card and physically possess it to be able to honestly call it my favorite. So that's why I didn't say it.
Fair enough.
Key, your topic.
Sure. My topic is kind of related to what we talked about earlier, right? American Express, for example, recently pulled 3 of their cards without notice. So my question to all of y'all is, what have we learned about waiting for cards and waiting to apply for cards? And maybe feeling some regret about not signing up for some of these cards. Any lessons learned or things you're going to apply in the future? And I'll start with Matt.
Sure. So before I got the autograph, I actually didn't sign up for the autograph. I product changed to the autograph. But before I got the autograph, I was strongly considering its predecessor, the Wells Fargo Propel card. Pretty much the exact same card, just on the American Express payment network. When it got pulled, I was a little like, boy, that sucks. But then autograph came out, and while I could have applied for a new autograph, I think I actually did, and then realized I could just product change, and I didn't realize the power of sign up bonuses at the time because I'm dumb. So not applying for Propel felt like a missed opportunity, so I always made sure to just like apply for the card that I wanted. There hasn't been a card that like I was aware of, because like the Zinc card would have been a card that would have been interesting to me at the time, but I didn't know it existed. And when I learned about the Zinc card, it was like, oh, you can like create your own little packages of how your spend dictates what points you earn. That sounds awesome. But the Zinc card was long dead at that point. So I think if there's a card out there that is interesting to you, you may as well apply for it just because apparently now they'll just take them out of circulation with no notice. Usually when a card's discontinued, you'll get like some sort of warning. But yeah, if there's a card out there that is of interest to you, just go grab it.
Thanks, Matt. Tariq, what are your thoughts?
So I've waited for one card specifically. It was like when I was first in the credit card game, just cash back. I waited mostly because I got denied like the first two times I applied for it. That was the Costco Anywhere Visa. And really, I just, like I said, I wanted the card because I was like, I will use the crap out of that 4x gas category or 4% gas category. And I was like, that will at least cover the membership fee on my Costco card. Like, no sign up bonus, but now getting the card when I wanted it, and now I just don't really use it. So it's like, was was it worth the wait? I think initially I would say yes, because when I was cash back, it was my go-to gas card. But now in like hindsight, I probably could have, had I known now what I known then, I don't know if I would have jumped on the card. One card that I have been waiting to get, and I guess, quote, like for lack of better terms, suffered the consequences of waiting to get the card, that being the built card, because of, losing some of the certain transfer partners and just the self-inflicted wounds that we've seen built do with what they've been doing with the program. I just was like, yeah, I'll get the card later because, like I said, rent spend is sub spend. And yeah, I get the 250 bill points, but I'm like, I mean, it'd be nice to not, pay the processing fee and just earn the same amount of points that I would have been getting. So I say that, but I'm still going to be hard headed and probably just hold off until I hit all the subs that I want to get. And then I'll get the built card. And then by then, I'll probably be kicking myself because that card, could potentially be a shell of what it was like 2 years ago when it was like the hottest card on the press. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But I'll accept that I'm being knowingly hard headed and just wait on it.
I love it. I love it. RJ?
So I think it depends on the card. The Amex Platinum is not going anywhere, right? Like if you want an Amex Platinum, you can wait a year and you're not really in danger of that card being probably fundamentally different, right? Like there are certain cards that just are not going anywhere. The Chase Sapphire Reserve may have a couple of different credits, may have a couple of different things, but that card is probably not fundamentally going anywhere, right? So I think if you want a card like that, waiting until the right time is a fairly safe thing to do. If it is something where it's a less talked about card, it's a card that probably doesn't get as many people interested in it, then yeah, I do think there may be a bigger clock or a louder clock ticking at you to go pick it up. Amex might tomorrow say we're going to do the Amex Titanium and it's going to be a fundamentally different card than the Platinum and the Platinum's going away. I don't think that's going to happen though. So I think it really depends on the card you want, before I can give you a hard and fast rule there. I do think that, timing it right, like going on a spree and applying for a bunch of cards and trying to hit all of the subs all of the time can do some negative things to your credit, which if you want a specific card that maybe has a little bit of a higher, requirement for your credit score, that can also damage you. So I think you need to strike while the iron's hot, but you have to sort of have at least a little bit of a game plan so you know when to apply for certain things before others. Where I live, Experian is the one that I get hammered on when I apply for cards. So if I know something does, like TransUnion, I might apply for that one next and give, Experian a little time to cool off, right? So knowing those things, having those things in your head, I think can lead you to more success. But I also think like you do have to pace yourself, because if you get in that rat race of constantly doing subs, what you can do is lead yourself to spend more than you're realizing you're spending. And then you get into a place where, even if you can afford the spend, you're not paying interest, you're not doing that. Maybe you're not saving as much, maybe not as much as going into your Roth IRA. Maybe, X, Y, and Z is happening because you're hitting subs and you're comfortably doing it, and you're, not feeling like you can't pay your bills. So there are downsides to sort of back-to-back subs that might not go past, oh, I can't pay my bill, I'm paying interest. Like, so I think it really depends on your situation. It depends on the cards you want. It depends on, the sort of if they're legacy cards or not. Amex is doing the 40th anniversary of the Platinum, and they're hitting it hard this year. So I don't think they're not going to give up at 49 years, right? Like, this is a card that's going to go on, and it's an easy card to use for an example like this, which is why I keep going back to it. But yeah, I think it sort of depends on what you're going for. But, if you're going for the chase card that nobody talks about, then maybe apply for that one if it's of huge benefit to you versus, the Sapphire Reserve.
Well said, everybody. I'll also answer the question. I definitely learned a lot, and I learned that it's okay to get the cards more than one time, as long as there's no rules against doing so. I definitely kicked myself for not getting multiples of the Ameriprise version of the American Express Platinum card. At the time, this card had no annual fee in the first year. And what I should have done is gotten those cards every 90 days or however often American Express would have let me apply for those. But ultimately, I didn't. And now that card's no longer available for signups. Now, it was product changed automatically to a vanilla platinum card, but perhaps that would have opened me up to have a green card now, or all these other, maybe different cards that might make sense for me. So that's one I definitely kicked myself about. And that's what I've learned. It's okay to have multiple.
There's a couple cards I'm thinking about getting multiples of. But we'll see what happens. Yeah. So thanks, Key. Tariq, your topic of the week.
So since I knew that we were going to have Key as a guest star on our show this week, Key, when I was in the venture capital Discord, was one of the first people I talked to, and she mentioned her fat stack of cards, like 50 plus. Boom, impressed. If you haven't seen her live with Chad, I saw him looking at all the cards and how impressed with the rubber band. It was great. Seeing that, I know you pay a crazy amount in annual fees. I think it was what your video, I think you said you paid like $4,800 in annual fees, which is more than my annual fees, me, Matt, RJ, and Lonnie's probably combined, give or take.
No, we'll probably come out ahead, but pretty close.
But the fact of the matter is, it takes 4 of us to even get to where Key is. So I bring that up, just looking at my annual fees cards, and the question that I really want to know whenever people get a bunch of annual fee cards is, how do you manage annual fee cards? Like, do you have like ways to like subsidize the fees, whether it be like just cashback cards, cashback programs like Upside? Do you actually like budget the annual fees out, or it's just like, it hits whatever? So me, for example, I use the YNAB budgeting app, and with that app, I'm able to just set like a category for like my annual fees and just throw in X amount of dollars per month for whatever annual fee card I'm hitting. So it's just a way for me to manage those fees and budget it. And then I use Upside for like every gas purchase, and even some stacks that I can do with like some rewards networks. And between Upside, Dash, and then like cashback cards, I'll use those cashback rewards that I earn on the cards and just put it towards my budget to basically cut down on my perceived out-of-pocket costs for annual fees. I'm trying my hardest not to use that EAF term that makes RJ skin crawl. Um, so I think subsidize is a better term because I'm not even looking at like the credits. Like I'm just looking at like straight dollar amounts, how you are using, like ways, if there is ways you have to just manage those annual fees. And I actually do want to start with you, Key. How do you go about managing all those annual fees that you have?
Yeah, so for the most part, I think I mentioned at the top of this is that I have some large expenses that kind of come out throughout the year, and those are relatively, going to be constant for quite some time. My auto insurance, my homeowner's insurance, my whole life policies, and there's a couple other things that I pay on an annual basis. Those are kind of spread out across 4 quarters in the year. So my annual fees and some of these cards that have annual fees, I've typically gotten around one of those 4 periods. So I would say most of my annual fees are pretty spread out. I know I think I have 18 to 20 cards right now that have annual fees. So it's a bit hard to say that, to be honest. But yeah, they all came when there was a large expense that was predictable for me. As far as like if I'm talking software, I use Travel Freely. It does not connect to any of your banks or anything like that. You just pick from the catalog, right? Like I have a Chase Sapphire preferred card. You just add that to your library of cards. No login needed. You can add notes to that account. Pretty much anything that you want to do there, and it tracks it for you. As far as subsidizing, I don't think I kind of subscribe to that. I wish there was a way to subsidize, right? This annual fee money is coming out of my account. So as far as subsidies and things like that, that doesn't really happen. Like it's coming out no matter what. I will say I do my hardest though to have a way to upgrade and downgrade cards, and it's okay to do that throughout the year. If you're not planning on using that card for extended period of time, downgrade that bad boy, and product change it back when you're ready to start using those. Whether it's hotel nights or perhaps it's fourth night free. I don't find any value in the fourth night free. I know we talked about it earlier, but if it's something like that it's a really niche use case, perhaps it's something you just downgrade for a while. So thanks for the question. I really like it. I hope I answered it, Tariq.
Yeah, and once again, I think you were one of the few people in the credit card space that mentioned the Travel Freely app. So I tend to call it Travel Keely for that reason because of how useful that app is. And like I said, when I saw your video on it, I was like, someone else knows about this. This is awesome. So yeah, like I know I say like subsidizing, like especially when you get to like multiple high ticket annual fees. Like I know like the cashback that I'm gonna get with some of them will maybe cover like, one, maybe two. But I know once I get to getting like my Premium United card and travel going up the ranks on that, I know it's gonna be a lot harder to subsidize, but you know, I'll do what I can.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess it's a subsidy, but like some of these cards have offers where you can get access to pre-sales to very popular tickets and other things. I don't shy away from those types of things that are pretty exclusive. I'm willing to buy whatever the maximum is if I know it's something that's going to be resellable, and sell those. But I also do the bank accounts thing as well, where I sign up for bank account bonuses. I'm even not even shy about moving my 401k and stuff around. So there are lots of ways to subsidize. I guess I don't see it that way. Right now, my travel is very intensive, so it makes sense for me to have most of these cards. When I get to a period where I start slowing down, I'm going to downgrade, and no shame about it.
Fair. And like I said, I use subsidize as I guess a way to like not use the term effective annual fee because I know certain co-hosts, one here and one not here, that hate that word. And speaking of people who hate that term effective annual fee, RJ, I know you are also pretty high up on the in the annual fee department. So I don't know if you have, you know, I know you said like cashback doesn't really tickle the brain as much as, your points, but do you have ways where you're like, hey, I can have like money over here that can cut down or even just budging in the annual fees?
Nope. I do not care about annual fees. It comes out of my account. I pay for it like it's a subscription. I don't care. Now, look, am I going to cancel the business platinum next year because it's not, I got the card because we're renovating my house and I just wanted the sub? Yeah, probably. Like, I'm not going to pay for something I'm not going to use. Like, that's just silly. But, like, if the cost of admission to an event is X, the cost of admission to use a card is X, I don't see that as a problem. I pay a couple $100 to be a member of my local cigar lounge. I go, I use the benefits. I, get a cigar every month. I get to go to the lounge part, another lounge. Sadly, my Amex Platinum can't get me into that one. But, I get all of these benefits, right? I pay a fee for that. I have the Amex Gold. I pay a fee for that. Like, I understand that people, like, there are people who factor that into the math. I don't care. Like, to me, I care about, is the card useful? If the card is useful, then the annual fee is just the admission to be able to use that card. And yes, it is a factor, but to me, it's not in the top 3 factor. So I think people need to be less scared of annual fees and be more critical of them overall as part of their overall strategy. But annual fee is just a membership fee, and we pay membership fees for literally everything now in our society. So just don't be scared. Like, I'm waiting for Tariq to break like the $300 mark so he can just like relax. I think once you break like whatever mental mark you have in your head, you'll relax about annual fees. But you just got to get there. But you got to get there, buddy. We'll get you a Sapphire Reserve. You'll enjoy it, and then you can take a deep breath.
So I don't have the fear of annual fees like I probably did even a couple months ago. Like, yes, if I can find a way to save by having like cash back that I genuinely wouldn't even know where I want to do with it, and I'm like, cool, I can just apply it to the annual fee. I mean, I'm at what, 400 if you include the Hyatt business card. But I mean, I'm gonna get the Explorer. Well, no, I plan on getting the club card, whether it be the club business or the personal, depending on what the welcome offer is. So that's what, at least anywhere between 450 to 525. So I will get there. I promise you that. So I don't have the fear for it, but yeah, I'm still trying to find like to make sure like I'm able to get the value and for being able to spend, $500 on just like having the card. Because I mean, if I'm not traveling much, I'm probably gonna try to downgrade the card. But I digress. Matt, what do you think?
I only have 2 annual fees, so I'm not worried about subsidizing them or anything like that. One of my cards gives me my first $300 in travel back to me. And it's a very wide travel category. So my first $300 comes right back. How I view that is, hey, I got a rebate on my membership fee, which is great. Could I do things like push more through Dosh or Top Cashback or Rakuten or more in the Chase store for more Chase points? And if I've got no use for them, burn them, cash them out, pay my annual fee? Sure. Bank account bonuses might be a thing that I will try to do at some point if I have like some money to put aside for those. But they're the cost of doing business. And while I have a card that transacts with me on my first $300 in travel spend, Not every card is going to be like that. My other annual fee card gives me, like, if I value their points at 1 cent per point, they give me half the value of the card's annual fee back to me as points every anniversary going forward. So that's another like rebate on my membership fee, which is cool. But I'm not going to worry too much about, the overall annual fee. I'm not going to try and calculate out and suppose a termed effective annual fee. It's my membership fee. It's the price of doing business. I can do other things, like I can downgrade the Sapphire Reserve at any time to a Sapphire Preferred, or I can go all the way down to a Freedom card if I so choose. The JetBlue Business card, it's keep or cancel. That kind of is what it is. But no, I don't worry about it too much at all. Like, it's until I'm not willing to pay those fees, they come out of my bank account. And if I really have concerns about it, I just have to make my bank account bigger somehow.
Makes sense. And I guess taking from what all three of y'all have said, I will just take the plunge and not really worry about it. Like I said, I'll take my cashback rebates where I can, but I'm not going to make it like the end of the world if I'm not able to cover the cost of one annual fee card with the cashback that I earn.
And I don't think any of us are saying get more annual fee cards. I think you have to really just determine, Tariq, like what's important to you. Is there something important to you? If so, then maybe it makes sense. But if not, that's okay. You don't have to have annual fee cards to do whatever it is you want to do, right? So
Yeah.
I do need annual fee cards to do what I want to do. I'm trying to take the RJ approach, or the RJ and Lonnie approach, on my travel day, and having that club card would be really, really good for that. So yeah, I'm gonna pay the annual fee for that, and then just be able to do United clubs on my airport, like my home airport, and also my connecting airport. So we'll have it at that.
Respect the travel day.
Again, if you just buy business class tickets, whether through points or just buying business class tickets, most of them will cover your United Club entry. All right. Thanks, Tariq, for that one. And we'll do the last topic, my topic, which is Q4 starts tomorrow. Do we think anything major is going to happen this quarter? Citi and Wells Fargo have much larger travel cards supposedly in the offing. More American Express refreshes, or they've just completely discontinued cards without telling us. And what is Capital One up to? What do you think is in store for us for Q4?
I love the question. I wish I had a magic ball. I won't even lie. I'm really interested to hear what everybody else says. I don't think there's going to be any new cards, like net new true cards coming out this quarter. I think they're going to wait until closer to travel season. So I'm thinking like February, March of 2025. But again, I don't know. Wish I had a crystal ball.
All right. Tariq.
So the only thing that I can say for certain that we have in store for Q4 is crappy Chase quarterly categories. Thank God for my 5X gas and grocery, because like I said, maybe PayPal, and maybe if I want to go buy a Big Mac, I'll use my Freedom Flex. But I know, I mean, we're at holiday season, so a lot of people are going to have more spend. So potentially we could see those, the potential, was it Strata Elite, Autograph Beyond, those cards being dropped either somewhere mid-late Q4, or if not early Q5, just because it's going to be that time. I mean, we got the holidays, people are going to travel for the holidays, and then, they're going to have to spend on that. So, if they care to like get the swipe fees on there, hey, perfect time. Get the elevated sign-up bonus, get the spending. the Amex refreshes, I don't know how far we'll see because obviously we've touched on the everyday preferred and cash magnet. I think those will potentially get refreshed in the spirit of Amex trying to revamp all of their cards. And then other than that, for Amex, maybe we hate to say it, but like more family language. I think it's what Hilton is the one that hasn't got family language yet. Probably add the family language for Hilton. So
Hilton is the last stalwart on that one.
So we have that, and then Capital One. I think Capital One's too busy trying to get the merger done with Discover to really do anything that's like newsworthy. So once they get that ironed out, however long that'll be, then we'll probably start hearing more Capital One cards. But I mean, they got the Venture X, and they have the Saber One. Maybe they'll just change the design of the Saber One to kind of go match with like the Venture X and the Quicksilver. But other than that, I don't really see much from Capital One. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you very much. RJ, any thoughts, prognostications, anything for quarter four?
So Thanksgiving is one of the busiest travel weeks of the year. I could see a world where Citi or Wells Fargo put something out ahead of Thanksgiving. If they're going to do it before 2025, launch it end of October, beginning of November, let people get it to book their holiday travel. Most humans that are not people like us book it last minute, or at least anecdotally. Wow, that was a word that I just made up. Most people in my life, at least, book last minute unless they know me, and then I book it for them because I'm a good friend and a great travel agent. So I think it's possible if they're going to launch it this year, it's right before Thanksgiving. How likely do I think it is? I still think Wells needs to have better transfer partners before they put out their big travel card, because if they put out the big travel card without the big transfer partners, I think it's going to fall flat. I wish it was not the case, but I do. I think Amex could launch one MR point and one cashback card. I don't necessarily think all three cards are coming back. I could see a world where they just go flat 2x cash or 2x MR point card, 2% cashback. Everybody, including us, will say this is awesome. We will all like be happy, and Amex will be happy because we are happy, and they will get a crap ton of spend through those cards through the holidays because people got to buy holiday presents, right? Hit a sign up bonus, use their cards. They love their swipe fees because they're Amex and they control the payment network, so they get even more. So I could see that being a thing there. Capital One's interesting because they discontinued the Saver card. And they haven't really done anything since. I don't know what you do as Capital One to fix your lineup when your best card is your catch-all card. Like, I don't know how you fix that lineup. I mean, I've done a video on how I would fix that lineup, but I don't know realistically how they fix their lineup when the Venture X is the 2X. And if you change the Venture X to not be a 2X card, in a lot of people's eyes, you're ruining the card, and then you're going to get a bazillion people commenting on the fact that you just ruined your best card. So I don't know what Capital One does there. I don't know, but they need to do something. They eventually need to do something. Maybe it's on the other side of the Discover merger. Maybe it's not, but I would like them to do something. As somebody who holds a Venture X and has a stake in Capital One not sucking, I would appreciate them doing something, not doing something fun. But yeah, I think it could be an interesting quarter. it's either going, in my estimation, it's either going to be a very boring quarter or a very not boring quarter. I don't think we get like 2 or 3 kind of interesting things and then that's it. I think it's either going to be dead silence from everybody, or it's going to just, we're going to hit the second or third of the month and go, we have had more news in the last week than we have had in the last like 2 months. I think it's going to be feast or famine coming up. Personally, I would like it to be feast because I do a podcast where I talk about credit cards. So it's helpful when there is more news on the topic and more new cards and more things. But yeah, I think it could be a wild couple of months, or I think it's going to be dead. I waffle back and forth on which one I think it's going to be.
I'm just going to state that based on timing for the holidays, City Strata Elite is going to come out Veterans Day weekend, that Sunday, because we know how City is. It's going to be right before Thanksgiving, and it's on a holiday weekend. It's just going to be City's MO. So we will probably see something. I'm going to call it Veterans Day weekend. I'll actually be on the way back home from a trip. So who knows? Maybe I'll be like checking out of my hotel and seeing all the news drop of the new Strata Elite card.
The
And
Strata Elite's going to drop as soon as Matt is not available to film a video for like 24 hours.
I don't like that. I agree with Tariq and I agree with RJ, and I haven't found a thing to agree with Key yet on for this particular topic, and we all know how that makes me feel. Sorry. No, I do definitely think Strata Elite could be announced this quarter. I think one of the two, as RJ said, could be announced. In terms of Wells Fargo, I think we're going to see more transfer partners. I'm just not sure what transfer partners are going to be that big pull, right? The big like free agent out there is supposedly American Airlines. I did a speculation video earlier today about that. Um, American and Citi have to figure their stuff out first, and Citi needs to. If Citi doesn't get this figured out before the end of the year, you could see American potentially put out feelers for other issuers, but I don't know that that gets resolved before the end of the year. If it does, that means Citi's getting the cards, all the cards, but I don't know that Citi gets American as a transfer partner. So if Wells can't get American, like the question then becomes like, does Wells get, what else does Wells get? Does Wells go out and get Amtrak? Does Wells go out and get Air Canada? I think the one that would be the most hilarious and most chaotic for me would be Wells getting built as a transfer partner and Wells just end running around everyone and then getting like all of Built's transfer partners by having a transfer partnership with Built. That might be the only way to like really make things work. American Express, I could see the refreshes for the Cash Magnet and the Everyday. Maybe the Everyday comes back, Everyday Preferred comes back as like a gas and grocery type card that keeps the 50% kicker. But like at $95, what or more, what additional credits will they come out with to help offset those, to make those a value proposition for people? Capital One, I think the Capital One and Discover merger will go through, and then Capital One's going to do something insane, like raise the floor of the Venture X to like 2.5 or even 3, because they'll be able to utilize their new payment network to keep more of the swipe fees to then process over into rewards. I don't know that 3 is feasible, but I think they could turn the Venture X into a 2.5 catch-all. And then they've got 9 trademarks floating around out there, and one of those cards will probably come to light, and I have no idea what it'll do.
I would say sign me up for 2.5, but if it's on the Venture X, I already have the card, so.
I will say if Wells does something just like end up making their points one-to-one transfer to Bill, I'm gonna have to rearrange my card acquisition strategy because I'm gonna probably throw in the autograph and maybe even the autograph journey just so I can start earning a bunch of Wells Fargo points.
60K points ain't so bad, and 5 times points on hotels. So,
Wells has
yeah.
limits though. They're not like some of the other issuers where they're more flexible with how quickly you can acquire. They're more like Capital One where they have like harder stops.
Yeah, it's like what, 6 months, right? And then it's like 6 months, and then this potential 524 rule up in the air. So
Here's what I'm learning as a potential hack is just get an autograph card and then start churning signifies.
sounds like a plan.
So you'll have the ink train and the signify sub. Yeah, Key, any thoughts on any of my silliness there?
No, I love it. I love it. I think I just want to highlight. I really like Wells Fargo as far as their transferability. You can transfer any amount of points. Doesn't have to be in increments of 1,000. People do not talk about this either, and it blows my mind because how many times have you needed an odd amount of points and had to transfer over extra because of all of the different rules? So love it.
Yeah, if your flight on Air France is going to be 10,144 points, you can do 10,144 points with Wells Fargo. The other like weird superpower you can do with that is that if you have a points expiration coming up, like if you have points that expire after 2 years, transfer a point and kick that out another 2 years. Like you only have to do 1 point.
Yeah,
for those.
love it. I love it.
I'm the only one talking about it. So yeah, Q4 could be fun, could be nothing. Who knows? The only other like luxury cards that I would have any interest in would be the JetBlue card and the fabled never going to happen higher end Hyatt card. But we'll just have to see what happens from there. But that's going to do it for this episode of Stack Your Points. If you like what we do, hit the like and subscribe button down below on YouTube. If you are listening to us on your podcatcher of choice, please give us 5 stars, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Audible, Pocket Cast, Icecast, Overcast, Dreamcast, maybe. But give us 5 stars nonetheless. We will talk to you next week. Thanks for listening and watching.